Mike Griffiths. Thank you, Bob.
Nope. Sure, I got somebody.
I want to thank all of you guys for taking the time to come out tonight and support candidates in Torrance. I've got a really unique race, but let me just, before I get to my race, which is really important, that's the main thing I want to talk about, just a little background for those who may not know me. I've been on the Torrance City Council now. This is, August will be completing my fifth year. I was appointed in 2014 for a short term for 2 years, and then I won an election in 2016. And so I've been serving for 5 years, and it's not really been fun for the last 4 of those 5 years because I've been in the minority on the council. And it's been challenging to get things done, and it's the leadership in our city, in my opinion, has not been optimal. And I've really been pleased to see some new blood come on our council with Councilman Merchan, Councilmember Matucci, and I feel like we've taken our city back from the leadership of our city, and I think now we're in a better position to try to move things forward in a more positive way and in a more ethical way. So I'm really pleased about that, and if anybody knows the history of Torrance, we've had some issues with that. My background in Torrance, I've been in the city, I didn't realize, Sharon, you've been here since 81. I've been here since 83. So 37 years, 36, 37 years, something like that. Raised my family here. I have 2 sons that are grown. I have my own business here in Torrance. I'm a businessman. I understand the difficulties that businessmen face, especially these days. It's just really brutal for businesses in California. And so I have a great deal of sympathy for businesses, and I work hard to try to support our businesses as best we can. And that's why Torrance has been known to be one of the most business-friendly cities in LA County. I want to keep it that way. And I think that's one of the reasons why Torrance has been so successful is because we have a great business community. And George talks about corporate headquarters in our city. Torrance already has over 400 corporate headquarters in our city.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that fact, and I'm working hard to continue to support that. So I've been around Torrance for a long time. As Sharon also mentioned, I've been very involved with the YMCA for over 22 years now. I'm on the board with them. The YMCA is really the epitome for me of what I'm all about now. Since I sold my business in 2000, community service has really been something that's been very important to me. And so I got involved with the YMCA partly through my kids' involvement with the YMCA, and I realized what a great organization it is and the wonderful things that it does in our community to make our community really strong. And Sharon's been a fabulous leader of our YMCA for the last 2 years on the board, and she's done wonderful things. And the leadership skills that she brings to the Y, if she brings those same leadership skills to our city council, I think we'll be in good shape. And I actually credit the YMCA for my leadership skills as well. They encouraged me as a volunteer to get more involved, to step up, and they pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I even credit the Y with if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have wanted to take on the challenge of being on the city council. So I give them a lot of credit. The other major community service I've been involved in Torrance is I'm the chair of the board of the Torrance for Salvation Army. And that's a great group that people don't really understand how much the Torrance Salvation Army is doing here in our community, especially in regards to homeless. We have a big center down on Lomita Boulevard near the 110 freeway where there's a great homeless population, and our Salvation Army is working really hard to try to provide services for those people. And in fact, we're working right now with the city of LA to try to get some homeless housing built there along the freeway to help alleviate the problems that the homeless have been facing in our community, not just here in Torrance. Thankfully, Torrance doesn't have a huge homeless problem, but we need to make sure that we're providing the services the best we can. So that's another organization that I've been proud to be a part of for the last 5 years. Coincidentally, the same amount of time I've been on the Torrance City Council. So let's talk a little bit about my race. My record's very public. You can all look up my record. I want to talk about my race because that's the most important thing I'm here to talk about tonight. Something that's never happened in the city of Torrance. Because of our district, the switch to districts, a situation's come up that would have been unheard of years ago, but someone has moved into the district purely to run against me with no experience in our city, and he's an opposite party. Anybody here fans of Al Sushi?
Boo!
Okay, well, this guy happens to work for Al. And he rented one of the least expensive apartments in our district. And he's here solely to run against me, to try to push me out of my seat. He doesn't, I don't even know if he knows how to spell the word Torrance. He didn't even know what district he was in when he first filed his papers. And so that's what is happening here. And another unusual thing about my race is that unlike any other races in Torrance districts that are up for election, I have the only Democrat who's opposing me. There's no Democrat in any of the other races. So I think the Democrats are really going to be focused on my race, and that's why I'm going to reach out to you guys that I need your help. Because they're going to bring in all their money, party money, they're going to bring in all their manpower, their volunteers, and they're going to try and take the seat in Torrance. And so I don't care what you think about what I've done here in Torrance. Hopefully you think I've done good things in Torrance. If you want to see a conservative continue to stay on the Torrance City Council, then I need your help to beat this ridiculous thing that's happening in my district. It's something that I would be embarrassed of in our city if we let something like this happen. That somebody who really has no caring about Torrance, it's all about politics, coming in to run against me. So that's something I'm terribly concerned about. I haven't seen the money side of it yet, but I can only anticipate. The other thing that affects that race is the fact that Al is running as well, but he doesn't have a competitor. So he can channel all of his energies into helping his guy run against me. So that's an interesting situation. I hope people understand the gravity of that. I need your help. I need you to vote. I need the Republicans to go to the polls because they're going to try to blue wave Torrance. We can't let that happen. So that's really the main thing I wanted to say, and I'd love to take on any questions or comments.
Isn't there some kind of a residency requirement of some kind?
30 days.
So that's what's on the books right now.
Currently, we don't even know if he actually lives in the apartment that he's renting. If somebody would like to file a request of our city clerk to investigate whether he in fact even lives there, that would be worthwhile to do. Yes?
Are you worried about ballot harvesting?
Of course I'm worried about that. That's a technique that has been used against other candidates here in recent races. So absolutely I'm worried about that. Maybe we should do it back. I need people to help. So what I need from everybody here is if you care about this race and you care to see conservatives stay in office, I need you to go to my website and sign up as a volunteer. Donate money, whatever you can do. If you get me your name and your contact information, I'll make sure you're rounded up to help us, and we'll strategize and figure out the way. But the main thing we need to do is we need to get the conservatives to the polls. The Democrats are going to have all the reason to come out in March because it's a presidential primary. In the Republicans, they don't have as much reason to go to the polls. So I think the Republicans will be less likely to go to the polls than the Democrats, and that creates another situation that we have to overcome. Yes?
With that being shared, I will also share, I'm a teacher in the Torrance Unified School District, and unfortunately our teachers union is totally Democratic, and they pushed Betty Lou right into the seat, and that's what they do. And if you can somehow get in with the teachers union, the teachers union, I know they do have people come in and speak, and
right. Well,
that's a big part.
Unfortunately, if you're such a party person that you will only do what the party tells you to do, that's hard to overcome. Because I know sometimes we do the same thing, and so thankfully in my district is 30% Democrat, 31% Republican, and 29% non-declared or undeclared. So I think we stand a chance as long as we get the Republicans and the undeclareds out to vote. I think we stand a really good chance. In fact, I'm an incumbent. I have a well-proven record that I think the public is very happy with. I think that those things all together, with the help from the people that get out there, knock on the doors, to hand out flyers, and to get people to the polls, I think we can do it. I'm confident we can do it. Did you have another question, James?
Yeah, when you hand out your flyers for a campaign, I think we should put that this person just moved into the district.
Well, you know, I'm not a mudslinger. I don't like to campaign in that way. But if the public would like to make some comments on social media and things like that to point that out to the public, I think we need you to do that. I don't like the negative mudslinging campaigns, and that's not the way I'm going to approach the campaign.
They're gonna do it to you.
Well, I'm not going to throw mud. I'm not going to be the first one to throw mud, but I am prepared for what they might do, and I think we've seen it before, and we have to be prepared for that.
And he never lived in the city before.
He's never lived in this city, ever. He's lives up, as a matter of fact, he's having his first fundraiser here recently, and it's not even gonna be in Torrance, it's gonna be up in LA. Because he's just looking for party money. Yeah.
Councilman, I got a question. If you get elected, are you gonna denounce so-called LGBTQ month? I think it's kind of outrageous. The Torrance is promoting this gay agenda.
Well, I'm not going to denounce it. It's,
We don't need that.
you know, it is what it is. It's just kind of like our national motto. It's another one of these issues that we do. The city doesn't do anything besides make a one-time proclamation about it. And so I don't have an issue with that. I have relatives who are gay. I have a great friend in high school who's transgender. I'm not going to make their lives any more difficult, but I'm not going to go overboard and turn this into like a West Hollywood. Yes, sir.
District boundaries, what are they again?
District 6, the boundaries of District 6 are from Ocean Avenue on the west to Crenshaw Boulevard on the east, from the south border of Torrance, all the way up to where the Monterey main post office is on Monterey, just south of Carson Street. I don't include the Madrona Marsh, but it's a real nice district. I've got some of the largest sales tax generators in my district. I've got some great communities in the district: Walteria, Country Hills, the New Horizons group. There's some great communities in there who traditionally have supported me in the past. And we just need to make sure we get all those groups out to vote, and we need to make sure we knock on every one of those doors.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
For the record, I do think that Sue is actually a Democrat.
She's not. I looked her up on her registration. She's undeclared. I made sure of that.
She's a what?
She's undeclared. Or defined as state. Any other questions on Proposition 13?
Yeah, where do you stand on that?
I am totally for Proposition 13. As a former business owner, I think that's where they're going to try to attack first, is on the business properties.
That's right.
And I think that they're trying to sneak their way in, and I think it's wrong all the way around. I think people work really hard to get their properties and to turn this around with something that the people voted for is insanity, and I will fight it every chance I get. But unfortunately, Torrance directly doesn't have a vote. We need, as the public of our state, we need to make sure our representatives up in the state, who are the ones making these laws, are hearing us and are voting against it.
I have to follow up with this, and this is kind of, I do have to spread this to everybody. This Black Lives, I call them Black Lives Don't Matter hate group. They are excessively disruptive. They have shut down people's public comment. We have seen this outrageous response from the mayor to have 30, 40, 50 police officers come in. I know you're not the presiding officers, you're not running for that, but what can be done? And I'm opening this to all the candidates. I'm sorry Aurelio's gone. What other steps can be done? Have you looked into what can be done about this? I'm all for the First Amendment, freedom of speech. I'm not asking you to comment on the matter that they're protesting, because you can't. But this is a procedural problem that is getting out of control, or what's happening with it?
Well, thankfully, it's actually getting under control.
Okay.
Some of the times that you've been there was hysterically.
I was shut down.
So in the last couple of meetings we've had, we've actually been able to get through and do our business.
Okay.
And that was as a result of the council together working as a team, making some rule changes on the decorum for our meetings to allow us to better enforce things, to create penalties for certain bad behaviors that we don't want, to just tighten up our overall protocols of decorum. So we did pass that law, and then once that law got passed, and it was done on an urgency basis, urgency ordinance passed and was implemented right away. Our meetings have been better ever since then.
Okay.
Still not great, and this is the catch-22 of the situation is our public meeting rules and First Amendment require us to allow anybody to speak, and this is where I have a huge problem.
But my problem isn't that, it's that they shout and shut other people down.
And that can't be tolerated, now we have rules in place that prevent that. And so
Okay.
anytime that happens, the mayor is actually, give him credit on this one, he has been shutting our meetings down. We take a recess, we try to come back, but it has gotten significantly better since we passed the rules. And I'm really concerned, I don't know if anybody saw my posting recently on my campaign page, but I feel really bad for our public who is afraid to come to our meetings because of this protest. And they're getting shut out from speaking on the issues that are important to them about our city. And we can't tolerate. We need to make sure our public has the ability to speak. And so, in the meantime, what I've offered to the people who do want to speak, make sure you email your council members, all of us, with your issues, so we can try to at least address them that way if you're uncomfortable or unable to speak because of the protesters that we've been facing. And I do believe that we're moving in the right direction with that. And it is ultimately up to the mayor. The mayor calls all the shots as far as how the meetings run. So I think, but please pay attention. We've gotten a lot better.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The two parts. The part of the meetings that have been shut down, there have been some pretty important items on the agenda. Can those be brought back at a later time?
If we made a vote on it, we cannot. I mean, it would be very difficult to bring it back. I mean, obviously, we can reconsider anything technically.
Right.
But typically, once a vote's been made,
No, not a vote, but I mean, if you dismiss the meeting and adjourn it, if there's a public hearing to come after it's been closed down, can't you bring it back at a later date?
In some cases we can, some cases we can't, depending on the item, because sometimes they're time-sensitive issues. Like our budget hearing was one of the issues that was interrupted. And
I understand that, but I've had it with being kicked out of meetings.
well, we're really not kicking anybody out of the meetings except for the protesters. Unfortunately, we've required everybody to be ultra patient when we do take a long extended recess to try to get things under control. We do bring, except for one case, we always bring the meeting back and allow people to come back in, except for one case where we just ran the rest of our meeting without an audience.
And Butcher Hill's in your district.
It is not in my district, actually. It's adjacent to my district.
You're not, it's south of your district.
It's just on the other side of Hawthorne from my district.
Okay, and your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is it's a project that I'm not thrilled about, but I can't give you a public statement about it because the way things work on our council is if I get public statements about any item that's coming onto our agenda, the people who bring that item forward then can say, I want that person recused and be unable to vote. And I don't want to put myself in that situation. I always leave myself open-minded for anything because there will be information that I don't have that might come out between now and then. But I can tell you this, in the 5 years I've been on council, we've voted for less than 100 units of anything to be built. And most of those projects I voted no on. But they did win because I was in the minority. Yes, sir.
Whose district is it?
Just a second.
I haven't seen it come forth lately. Do you know where it's at in the stages right now?
The Solana Butcher Hill project it's in the draft EIR review period. So that's the period where people in the public can look at that draft EIR, which is published on our Torrance City website. You can review it, make comments on it, forward those comments to city staff. Those comments, every single comment that's made will have to be addressed before that issue comes to the first place that will go, as far as any decision-making, would be to our planning commission, which anybody who concerns about it needs to go to the planning commission and share your thoughts. Then the decision, whatever the planning commission decision makes, I can guarantee you, no matter which way they go, it will be appealed, and then that appeal comes to our city council.
Thanks, Mark.
You had another question about Proposition 13 again?
Whose district is that?
Is which?
For Butcher Hill?
Butcher Hill is in District 5, which is currently not going to have a district candidate. That would, if Aurelia was in a district, it would be in Aurelia's district.
Oh, okay.
But trust me, I'm in the closest district to it that is up for election. And so I think if anybody knows me at all, I think you can know which way I'm leaning on that project.
But that is the city of Torrance, though.
Oh, it's definitely the city of Torrance, absolutely.
I think
Oh, did I talk too long, Bob?
I think we have to pull the plug.
All right.
I think we're getting